All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today I'm going to give you a little look at some of the man-free wrinkles that we use, why we use them, a little bit different version of five-man pressure, playing man-free, how we can do it different ways, and again, why we are using that wrinkle. I think I talked about it a little bit in a previous video that we did, but I'm going to go a little bit further into it of why I'm doing it this year based on the personnel that we have. Make sure you check out some of the partners that we have. GameStrat, it's the sideline replay system we use here at Bishop Kenny High School. I've used them at the last 2 or 3 high schools I've been at for the last 6 or 7 years. Highly reliable, extremely affordable. They do a great job with getting back to you, being hands-on with their customer service on game nights. I've never really had a major issue with the software. Anytime I had an issue when I was a head coach, they would get on the phone on a game day, on a game night, tell me what the issues were. So if you're looking for something that is extremely reliable, affordable, see why everybody's making the switch to GameStrat. Dome Hat's a headwear company we use at Bishop Kenny High School. I use them with Play Fast Football as well. I've used them at every high school I've been at since they've been in business the last 16 or 18 years or so. 2 former players at Florida. I coached against one of the guys that owns the company. He was a quarterback back in 1999 when I was coaching, so I've had a relationship with them for a long time. They want to take care of coaches. Completely customizable. You can design your own hat, or you can give them your logo and let them run with the design. Customizable, quick turnaround. Stock hats suck. Make sure you check out Dome Hats. Baker Sporting Goods company we use for coaches' shirts, sideline gear, practice gear. Our uniforms are distributed from them. They're in the shoulder pad world now with Pro Gear, so they're doing a lot of different things, really big in the baseball market. But if you want a one-stop shop for your players' gear, coaches' gear, fan gear, teachers' gear, spirit shops, whatever you want to build, make sure you check out Baker Sports. JustPlayFB, which is the playbook software we use here at Bishop Kenny High School. I use them for my Patreon site. I use them for any clinics that I do personally, or anytime I'm going to do a clinic. It's a best play drawing tool on the market, in my opinion, and it's got a fabulous presentation mode where you can take some of your playbook designs and diagrams and make them into a nice, easy, presentable presentation that makes it professional. So I love using them at clinics, and I love using them on my Patreon site. We also use them at all of our team, offensive and defensive and special teams meetings. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. If you want to work on striking violently, you've got to practice striking violently. Why not do it with a machine where you don't need to hold a dummy, you don't need another player to provide resistance. All right, so like yesterday, I know we were doing a drill working on hard joining blocks, and you got to have a player with a hand shield, and you got to get 2 guys involved. It'd be much nicer if you had a way to just use a machine like the ultimate striking machine, because now they set up in your racks in the weight room. I can get all the reps I need. I can work on elbows in, thumbs up, striking, all the different things, rolling my hips, doing the things I need to do while using a machine and not having to worry about another player in the drill. So check out DifferenceUSA. All right, so one of the things that we've had to do this year is we've had to kind of wrinkle some of our man-free deals so that we could be stronger in the run game and able to defend the things that we see while taking advantage of some of the things that we don't see. All right, and to me, one of the things that you don't see a lot of in high school football is the true tailback, one back, or the deep back and 2 back stuff involved heavily in the passing game. When those guys are involved in the passing game, a lot of the times what we're finding out is it's either push motion to get them out to stretch the defense, or to change the pattern match, or to push a guy and run some RPOs off that. Maybe they're involved in the screen game, but they don't do a ton in drop back passing game. So for us this season, we are a little bit smaller up front, so we're going to have to move and we're going to have to pressure. But I don't always like being in straight man-free with a post defender, because I feel like it doesn't necessarily equate numbers in the run game. I feel like sometimes I still end up a little bit short in the run game. So what we did was I came up with, and it's not anything I came up with, it's just wrinkles of what guys at college and the NFL level are doing. Usually they're doing it to either confuse quarterbacks, get extra players in windows, or maybe work on how they can get an extra defender to a side with a receiver that they're playing man on that they might need help, right? But for us, what I did was I did it to kind of create 8-man fronts for us and to give us 2 extra players that can collect the back in the passing game if we need to. So if they're going to push the back or they're going to flare the back, we have players in position to handle the back. But if the back's going to be in the run game, we now have extra players with eyes on the meshes, the blocking schemes. We can, kind of gear our fits towards where we want to try and send the ball. All right, and in doing that, yes, we're losing a post defender. Now, at any time within the call, I can change it to make a typical man-free post defender, which we have done 2 or 3 times this season on certain passing downs where I may have wanted a post defender. Or if I'm worried about anything that pops in the run game or something getting out, maybe a Q run, and you want that post defender to get somebody on the ground, we can certainly do that. But for us, with our personnel this year, one of the things that has helped us in the run game was kind of creating a quasi 8-man front with defenders that are ready to support the edge but also fold and get into run fits. And how we're doing that, because we are a 3-3-5 personnel structure team, tight front, 3 high defense, we're doing that by allowing our corners and safeties to play man on skill players. All right? So our corners and our safeties are playing man on 1s and 2s. So we love it versus 1 back, 11 Y off personnel, because the 1s and 2s are clearly defined. We're not asking them to play against heavy 3-back sets. We don't use it a ton versus 3-back sets or versus double tight sets. We like to use it when it's 10 personnel, open sets, or a little bit of the 11 Y off world, right? And what we do is we design some of our movements up front, right? So in our base odd stuff, we may work inside crossfires, all right, out of our base odd stuff. So we're getting inside crossfires because we're smaller up front. Our linebackers are really good physical players. They have good size and speed. But up front, all right, we're young up front. We've got a couple, a 9th grader and 2 10th graders playing up front, and none of them are over 190 pounds. So as 4 eyes, asking them to hold a point, take on double teams, all right, the things that we ask them to do in the tight front stuff, or even if you were an over front team and you were playing with a 2-eye and a 3 technique, those guys aren't really built to do that. So we've got to be able to move a little bit. So one of the ways that we design some of our movements is into our blitz packages, where now we can get a crossfire, and now our middle safety rotates away from the Sam, and now the middle safety and the Sam become vision and break extra players. They're responsible for the back out. So if the back were to get out to either side, all right, push motion, flare releases, things like that, that is the player that is responsible for the back out, right? So if the back does get out, we do have players there. It's almost like a peel concept. Like the way I describe it is very similar to a peel concept, where now if a back does get out, we have a guy to collect them. It's not like we're not covering the back. That's not what we're saying. We're just not lined up to play the back man-to-man. Okay, so what happens now is when I rotate those 2 opposite each other, I'm creating almost those D-gap edge defenders that are kind of force fold players in a run game. And then you got to remember, I've got my right safety right now currently on the Y. So if you're getting like GY schemes, you've got a man player that also has to be involved in the fit, right? So you're getting a front side force fold player in the run game, all right? You've got a backside force fold player in the run game, and you've got a guy that can add himself in man coverage. So what we're creating is we're creating ways to get 8-man fronts while we pressure. All right, so you can do the same thing with 3 under 3 deep. All right, so we also run 3 under 3 deep, traditional fire zone stuff. That's just another version to move pressure while still playing versions of 8-man front. Right, so what we do is we do it in the man world a little bit, where it's a wrinkle and a change-up for us, where we can design some movement patterns, and now we can also feel good about quarterback pull game, like zone read game and things like that, because now when we rotate the middle safety away from the Sam, if the back was on the side of the middle safety, I would tell him, hey, any meshes here, you've got to slow yourself down, you've got to be ready to fold, but if the quarterback pulls, you're going to be an extra guy, because when you're playing man-to-man sometimes, if the quarterback gets out, that becomes the big issue. So I feel like based on where the back is set, I can add a player who's playing man-to-man on the tight end and get the 6-fitter. Away from the back, I can have a force fold player to give me a 7-fitter, so now that's 7 on 6, and I still feel like I can handle, all right, some of our quarterback run schemes, or at least the pull schemes. Now, the good teams that have, dynamic runners, they're going to use 2 blockers, and it's going to be a 7-man blocking scheme, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to get that extra fitter when they're running Q run with 2 lead blockers. All right, but at least within the read game world, I feel pretty good that I can have 2 guys that are playing vision and break off of, or at least with zone integrity to each side, creating that 8-man front with an add-on player, all right, to the Y-off sniffer. Now, the other reason that I like it is in today's game, all right, the reason I like it a little bit better than some of our zone pressure stuff, depending on the scenario, right? So down and distance scenarios, when we get third and shorter than 3 or 4, I don't always like zone pressuring because a lot of teams are just raising up and throwing access screens, and they're now good enough to block the most dangerous. So if you're 3 under 3 deep and your corner is kind of off, all right, depending on how you play him, and you've got a 2-seam guy down, they'll throw stand-ups to 1 or 2, and then they'll come off the ball and block most dangerous. So if the corner's off and the 2-seam guy tries to fit, they'll block him. And if it's 3rd and 3, now you're giving up some easy throws. So what this does is this puts us in position to play man so that if we're getting the stand-ups, the bubbles, the screens, we can trigger them a little bit more aggressively. By playing man in some of those scenarios, if we give them 2.5 or at least 2 for 2 or 2.5 for 2, maybe they won't raise up and throw those, so we can kind of take those throws away by alignment, right? So when you get in those scenarios, because a lot of times on defense, your calls become down and distance situation. So a lot of times if you're trying to pressure, man pressure is a way that you can create the pressure you need, hopefully get the numbers you need in the run game, and you could also cover up access throws on the outside. But a lot of times man pressure is where we get beat on quarterback runs. We get beat if we don't play the quarterback pull game right. We get beat if it's a lot of gap scheme, GT bash, things like that, where you're pressuring, but maybe you've got box defenders that can't spill. And if you're man pressuring, a lot of times you'll box, not spill, and some of those gap schemes crease you, and the quarterback has nobody on them. So I feel a little bit better to Q runs because I have 2 players playing with zone integrity and playing with zone eyes. All right, and I feel solid to gap scheme runs, all right, hoping that, obviously when you move and you pressure with our lighter bodies, we're hoping to create some run through and get some tackles for loss. But I also feel good that I'm adding, with the Y in the game, a man player on the Y, I'm adding a body. So I feel like I'm getting 8 on 6 or 8 on 7, all right? Where are we weak? We're man-to-man on the outside. We have no post defender, right? So we're man-to-man on the outside with no post defender. So obviously if teams are going to stretch the field, if they're going to run the picks and the rubs, we've got to work on, bracketing. If we get, a lot of times we might get, the tight splits or the stack splits, and now you've got to handle that in a man coverage deal, right? So everything you do on defense, you can't be good to everything. You've got to understand how to protect your kids, your players, your scheme, and you got to realize that in every call, there's something there that the offense can do. So if they max protect and push the ball down the field, we don't have a post defender, we've got to show up in man coverage, right? Now, at any time, though, what we can do is we can change this to add a post defender. So at any time, we can change what we're doing, and we can make the Sam a man player on a back, all right? And now we can take the middle safety and spin him to the post, right? So now we get the same pressure, and it becomes a traditional man-free deal. So there's always ways to kind of wrinkle things and protect things that you want to protect, all right? In the original diagram, the other thing I like is when we drop the middle safety opposite the Sam, sometimes the middle safety is a body that can help us to the man side if we're getting guys trying to exploit us to the man side. The corner can at least feel like he's got some inside help, all right, on the glance route and some of the RPO deals, and so we're creating a situation where we're helping where we need to help. We're pressuring and moving with our lighter players. All right, but we're kind of changing where the hole defenders are or where the extra defenders are. And for us, it's the thing that's good for us is when we change our fronts, we don't really change the structure. So we can do, the same thing from 4 down. For us, it's with the mic, but we can do the same thing from 4 down. All right, and now we can rotate the same way and do all the same things that we want to do. And now we can play games with the will. All right, so now we can bring the will off the edge if we want and create the 5-man look that way. All right, we could bring the will back under inside, and we could plug the will. We could leave that, spike the 2-eye, and plug the will. And now we get the middle safety rotated away from the Sam. We get 2 hole players, and we get man-to-man on the outside. All right, we can do it from the other night we did it from our mint front, all right, from the weak side. So we did it from our mint front, and on this side we went America's blitz. So we went out, there, long stick, brought the will, brought the mic, middle safety rolled away from the Sam, all right, and there were your 2 hole defenders, and then that was a guy that was playing man-to-man on the Y-off stuff, right? So I like it versus 10 personnel. You know, again, versus 10 personnel stuff. Where do you have to win? You got to win man-to-man, right? Well, every day on defense, you're going to have to figure out something that you are willing to give up, okay? Because like I said, for us, all right, if we are a little bit lighter in the box, all right, so for us, we would bring all safeties over. The Sam would sit, so it makes it look like it's 4 for 3. All right, the middle safety would rotate opposite the Sam to give us a body and presence to the weak side. So now when we create whatever movement we're trying to create, all right, there, all right, now what ends up happening is we've got a drop-down defender to the single side that's kind of in the window for the glance routes. We've got a drop-down defender playing with zone integrity, so if we get Q read, pull game, all right, and we've got a defender that is there ready to play it. We've got a force fold defender that's ready to fit back in if the back's away. We can collect the back if he pushes, right? So if the back does push, we can collect that with the hold player. Now, the problem is you're sitting in man deals out here, right? So if you know, everything that you do on defense, you got to figure out that there's answers for the offense, right? So I feel comfortable with stand-up screens. I feel like we've got 3.5 out there to handle stand-up and now screens if they raise up and throw it. But if the ball gets pushed down the field, okay, however they want to push the ball down the field, if the ball gets pushed down the field in some version of 4 verts or whatever you want to do, well now, yeah, you're going to have to win down the field because you don't have deep help. You don't have post defender help, right? So every call that you make on defense is going to be vulnerable to something that the offense can do. So it comes down to that chess match between offense coordinator, defense coordinator, down and distance. What are you trying to handle? Well, for us, we're a little bit light up front. We're a little bit small up front. The only way we can get people behind the sticks is we've got to generate movement, and we've got to confuse blocking schemes, and we've got to have our guys playing a little bit more on the run rather than base techniques because we're not great playing base techniques. Now, does that mean we don't play? No, we line up and play tight front, 3 high defense. All right, that's what we do. When we start to struggle with that, all right, or if we go to 4 down and we can't handle run game, now we've got to do things to kind of help us in the run game to put our players in a position to win because we have the players we have. All right, so one of the ways we do that is with this little man-free wrinkle. All right, and again, nothing revolutionary. I didn't create the idea. I'm just stealing extra defenders to play with zone integrity and zone eyes while playing man-to-man on skills, still being able to collect the back, still being able, we're not, when I say this, it's not that we don't cover the back because you don't throw to them. That's not my theory. I don't ever do things where I don't cover people. We're not accounting for the back with a man player. We're going to account for the back with the things that teams like to do in the passing game with the extra defenders who are playing it like a peel concept. All right, so it's been pretty solid for us this year so far. All right, and you know, in the right down and distances, it has given us the opportunity to move some guys up front, create some fits in the run game that are more conducive for us with lighter, smaller bodies. All right, the other night we almost had a pick, should have had a pick because little RPO into the glance window, and we had the vision and break guy sitting right there in the window, and he just missed it. All right, so you know, again, it's 2 of my better players that are active players that I want to play with more zone integrity rather than just locking things down. Do we 0 pressure? Yes, we do. Do we 3 under 3 deep? Yes, we do. Do we 4 under 2 deep? Yes, we do. So this isn't the only way we play things, but it's a wrinkle for us that is pressure with movements, lighter bodies being able to move around and do things that are more conducive to their skill set. But I feel like it's kind of another way to create a semi 8-man front versus the run game, versus Y off or 11 personnel gap schemes. I feel like if the extra fitters understand run schemes and they understand how to play with their vision and break, zone integrity, and how to be force fold players, I feel like we get the best of both worlds in the run game. Now, they throw the ball down the field, over the top, they max protect. You're going to have to win down the field now because you don't have post help. Can you change it to get post help? Yes, you can, but now you're going to be one body lighter in the run game. So for us, when I'm trying to get extra bodies to the run game based on what they're doing, one back, two back, whatever schemes or personnel they're running, when I'm trying to get extra bodies to it, this is the way that I like to do it with our players. Now, again, don't love it versus three back, don't love it versus double tight stuff. I like it more versus open, more versus 11 personnel Y off stuff. It's been good to us. We see it a lot. So it's something that we're getting some mileage out of. So I hope that video helps you guys. If you played last week, I hope you played a little bit better than we did. We played a little bit poorly on defense, gave up 7 in the first half, but then kind of wore down and gave up 24 in the second half, first loss of the season. So we got to clean some things up. So hopefully ideas like this help you guys out. If you like the video, thumbs up. All right, thumbs down. Let me know what you think about the video. Make sure you turn your notifications on if you are a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, please smash that subscribe button to get us where we need to go. All right, numbers are continuing to rise on the PlayFast channel. So obviously we're happy about that. So subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. When your notifications on, you'll know every time there's a video out or I go on YouTube Live. I'll be on YouTube Live tonight. If you want to join me somewhere about 8:30 tonight when I'm done with practice, my weekly check-in with coaches around the country, and then give you a little bit about what we're dealing with, what we're trying to handle, and then also I'll be asking everybody else about how they are doing so far this year. So a little bit of a question and answer, my weekly check-in. I do it every week. I've done it the first 2 or 3 weeks so far. So weekly check-in on YouTube Live. So if your notification's on and you're a subscriber, you'll know when we're going on YouTube Live. So join me tonight at 8 or 8:30 if you can. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're healthy. All right, I hope the weather's good where you are, and good luck to everybody unless you're playing us this week. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. See you guys next time.